everyone, and welcome to Valentin Consulting's YouTube guest speaker series. My name is Dr. Daisy Valentin. I'm the CEO of Valentin Consulting, and I am thrilled to have everyone here watching another episode of our YouTube channel. And we are so excited to have a wonderful guest today. Our wonderful guest today is Maria. She's our executive director of Neighborhood Development Alliance, NeDA, and we are so excited to have you here. Please welcome her. And Maria, tell us a little bit about who you are, where you come from. Just give us a little bit about, and what do you do? What do you do here at Neighborhood Development Alliance?
Thank you, Dr. Daisy, for the invitation, first of all, and your audience. And I'm honored to be here in this afternoon, cold afternoon, chilly outside. Well, my name, like you say, is Maria Steffel, and I'm the director of Neighborhood Development Alliance, who is a nonprofit organization who built affordable housing, either for single families or buildings around the Twin Cities, but in particularly the St. Paul area, where we have around 204 properties that we manage for affordable rental housing. We also empower communities to create sustainable financial education and first-time home buyer classes and counseling. And I am originally from Mexico, the Northeast, a place called Ramos Arizpe,
Awesome.
which oftentimes people know as the Detroit of Mexico, because the industry of the manufacturing industry is placed in our home state, my home state, sorry. And I'm leading the organization, proudly lead by all Latino staff members who are bilingual and provide services in English and Spanish for the community.
Oh, wow. That is amazing. That is so amazing that I didn't even know that this organization was around here in Minnesota. And that is so wonderful. This is why I do this, because we really want to know what resources are out there. We have so many great resources out here for our community. So when it comes to how do we get access to that? Like, what type of role does financial literacy play in helping, break down some of the barriers that we see when it comes to home ownership? Because I see that that's something that you help with our marginalized communities, with different communities. And sometimes, financial literacy is something that nobody takes really seriously, right? So how does your role and your organization's role, how does that help? And what you personally, how has it helped you too? Like what you do, how does it help you too personally? Because, you wouldn't be in this space if it wasn't some kind of passion that you have for our community. So talk to us a little bit about that.
That is true. And actually, let me mention that I have over 30 years of financial experience in mostly corporate work, but then about 10 years ago, I transitioned for a more meaningful work. And that's what led me to find my passion in the nonprofit world. And here at NeDA, what we do is a commitment to close the racial disparities in the community. Mm-hmm. And we do that by removing financial barriers or removing language barriers through the Spanish-speaking services that we provide and counseling sessions for our participants. Mm-hmm. We also do partnership with other community members in the hope that we can amplify the work that we do. And let me tell you that because you mentioned that you were not familiar with our services, but NeDA has been in the community for nearly 40 years now.
Wow.
And not only that, but NeDA is one of the few organizations here in the Twin Cities that can proudly say that we were first pioneers providing Spanish-speaking services.
Oh, wow. See, and I didn't even know that. See, that tells you like it's been around for 40 years. And
Mhm.
I mean, it's amazing that you come from that financial literacy background as myself, right? I'm an accountant. And one of the things I have passion for is to help the non-traditional businesses in our community because they don't know what they don't know, right? Especially when it comes to managing their businesses. And like you say, you're on the home ownership side, right? And sometimes some of these individuals, they need to be guided, right? Especially if they want to have a business or are working, guiding to let them know, hey, you can't just write off everything, right? You can't write off everything. You got to show some kind of income out there. But, based from your experience and what you do with your organization, how can we help create more inclusive housing market and address the root causes of racial disparities in our home ownership? I've seen a lot of organizations recently that I've attended some events, especially with I think it was Keller Williams recently. Some of the Hispanics have put together some type of or not organization, but some kind of like resource area, including it would be something like something like yourselves or using yourselves as a partner. How do we help that be more inclusive? Because I know even for myself, being a Latina woman, you know, it was hard. It was hard to purchase my home, and it I was able to do it after 17 years. But how can we help that? Like, what happens? What is the root cause of those racial disparities in home ownership?
That is a great question, and there are a lot of factors. Obviously, being in a minority community doesn't give us the power, and our voices oftentimes are not here. So
Mm-hmm.
we have to come up with in ways that we do collaborative work. And to do that, we kind of like partner with other organizations to create coalitions, regardless of the backgrounds of services or participants that we're serving. And because our goal is to be able to have that equity with the participants that are like you, like experiencing long period of times without being able to secure a shelter for their families.
Mm-hmm.
So we do that through coalitions and lobbying and advocating and doing outreach to uh, state or local representatives from
Mm-hmm.
the city, the county, the state, the Senate, you name it. It's really a group effort to be able to move bills or initiatives that allow us to have that balance in our community. We have families that their regular income or a house that they can afford is a house that costs 150,000, but the market is putting the houses so high that they will never be able to reach that goal or that desire of
Opportunity, right? The
having
opportunity.
opportunity
Mm-hmm.
exactly. So and that's the part of the work that we do, but also like you said, financial literacy is something that we don't educate our families, and that's something that we also have to double down on the work that we're doing, having more boots on the ground and amplifying the awareness in
Mm-hmm.
our community about how to have a wealth, or how to take care of your finances.
Mm-hmm.
I know that there are individuals that spend a lot without really having a budget or a fund for emergency situations. We
Mm-hmm.
don't often think on those situations. So we go, there are families that can go paycheck by paycheck. And that's the kind of like work that we're trying to do, educating them, either consolidating their debts or
or
Eh,
showing them how to create a budget, right? Because like you say, they live paycheck to paycheck. And many times, they're like, oh, I don't want to pay taxes, right? They're trying to find ways to not pay enough taxes. But what they don't realize is that you're trying to take away so much for not paying taxes that you're not showing your true value of what you're actually making. So then it hinders you to purchase something because I've been in this experience, not myself but with other people, where they want to purchase something but they can't purchase it because their taxes show, let's say, $40,000, but they want a $500,000 house. They can get it if they look at your pay stubs, but if they look at your taxes, it doesn't show that. So I think what you said is really important, is showing them, like you mentioned, they pay paycheck to paycheck and they don't do a budget. They're not used to that. It's something that in a lot of cultures you didn't have to do that, right? A lot of the times, if I could tell you, my grandma had her money under her mattress. I don't know about you, but it wasn't even in a bank. It was in the mattress. I'm like, how's that going to get interest, right? So, you can't do that
exactly.
now, but it's fun. We talk about that and it's funny, but at the same time, it's like, it's not like that anymore, right? It's not like that.
Exactly. And
So,
and also one other thing that I want to say is, for instance, and is continue with the same line of topic, is if you're trying to buy a house, you need to have a budget.
mhm,
You're going to have extra expenses. You need to be educated on, hey, now you're going to own the house. You're going to do your own lawn and snow removal. You're going to have to pay your own bills for garbage, for utilities that oftentimes are lifted by tenants, excuse me,
yeah, by the renters,
by
landlords.
landlords.
Hmm.
Exactly. And you don't picture those expenses because they're not coming out of your pocket, or you don't realize that, hey, there is a big amount of money that you have to put as a down payment for the closing documents and that you have to sign at the bank, or that you have to do, the bank has to take some portion of your payment for escrow, which is turned into paying the taxes to the
Hmm.
government. So you don't put together those pieces because you don't see the whole picture. So that's why we advocate for financial literacy and do this outreach for education, for them to know all the pieces that comes together when they are trying to buy a
That's
house.
amazing. I'm gonna tell you, that is so amazing, because what they don't think too is, if you don't buy a brand new home, even if you buy a brand new home, if you buy an older home, you got to think about, do I need to replace that roof in a few years? Do I need this? Do I need that? Sometimes we don't think about those things because we're renting, and we could just call the landlord and say, hey, this broke down, and they come and fix it. And,
And
but
you
we
don't
don't
see the
realize,
bill.
we don't realize the type of things that the landlord or the owner has to do just to get to that point, right?
Just to
Uh,
name one is the insurance that you have to secure for the house.
Exactly,
Once it's yours,
exactly.
you have to pay, and it's not a small
No,
pay. It is a big chunk of money that you have to put together some saving funds to be able to cover the
like your
the
deductible, right? The deductible of the
exactly,
insurance. Yeah, the
exactly.
deductible.
So there
Exactly.
is a lot of information that we, when they come to our workshops or home stretch classes, that's the kind of information that we talk about. And another thing that I want to mention here that is very important for me to mention is that the work that we do is, in part to protect them, because out there is a lot of predatory practices that hinder the community wellness or financial wellness.
Hmm.
And sometimes in desperation, where we have an emergency situation, we don't know that these type of services that we provide exist,
Hmm.
or they don't know anybody that can refer them to us. And
Hmm.
what they end on doing is going and a pawn, or I don't know, like one of those cash
Yeah, the
loans.
Cash App places or pay. Yeah, and
Exactly,
doing
or
things they're not supposed to.
exactly, and they they think that they are doing the right thing, but in essence, they're going to hurt their finances even more because of the lack of knowledge of these practices that unfortunately target not only our Latino community, but in general,
All
low-income
BIPOC, all
families.
BIPOC communities. I think it's,
Exactly.
and I think it's huger than just Hispanic. I think it's our BIPOC communities. You know, if English is not their first language, it's something that they take advantage of. And I used to be a mortgage broker many years, so I know what you're talking about. It took me 17 years to get my home, but I moved, you know, from one place to here, and they and sometimes even when you do know, they think that you don't know, right? Even when you
Yes.
go get
Yes.
educated, you'll have people talk to you saying, you know, saying things, and you're like, well, no, I got educated, I'm understanding. This is why you, like you say, Maria, you want to get them educated. So people start
Mhm.
talking to them, they're like, no, I don't think so, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
So how do we innovate our community outreach? Like how can us, like especially Valentin Consulting or anybody in the community, how can we innovate community outreach to ensure that everyone has access to your resources? Like we want to make sure that they have sustainable financial growth. We want to make sure that they know the different strategies out there from all these wonderful nonprofit organizations, and we want to know how we can help them build, you know, a sustainable and measurable way where they can have that home ownership, you know, because yeah, we're dealing with a lot today with our in our country, right, with immigration
Yeah.
and stuff like that. But still, we also want to make sure that we educate them about that, right? Educate them about their finances, purchasing here, and also educating, you know, if something does happen, who does your home stay to? Because a lot of times what happens is they don't know where to go to. There's great
Mhm.
organizations out there, but they're not specific. I like that your organization is specific for home ownership.
Mhm.
And there's a lot of organizations that are not just specific for that. And you know, how can we innovate the community, you know, myself, other organizations that see this section today of our YouTube series that can say, hey, I want to help Maria, I want to be part of that. How can
Yes.
we do that?
Well, first of all, like amplifying the voice and helping us to share all kind of like materials, invitations, um, sending people to our workshops, especially because one of the things that I emphasize is that we are a trusted community organization, and that when somebody trusts, then we can get referrals and
Mhm.
clients come and are served with dignity, and they will be receiving professional services from our staff. And the other thing is that we uh, we invite them to like or like either Facebook account or Instagram account, um, being in alert of what we are sharing in our media in social media. It is a huge connection for us because honestly, like everybody lives in social media nowadays. So that's one of the things.
They
Another
look for
way,
information on social media too, Maria. They look for it.
correct,
So I
correct.
think it's really good to say, hey, we need to tag you. We need to find you and tag that information that you're sharing, because like you said, everybody lives on social media.
Yes.
So
And can I also mention before I forget that sometimes when you let's say that like let's continue with the example of your
mhm,
house
mhm,
that you said, hey, I bought the house after 17 years of maybe savings, working two shifts, you name it, all the sacrifices that you probably went through to finally buy your house. But guess what? We are in a recession crisis,
mhm.
and you're probably not going to have one income, so you're still paying your mortgage, and guess what, you're at risk of losing your house. So we are here for foreclosure counseling as well. So those are
That's
the
really
other
good.
the other part of the services that we also provide to help families, but we don't want families to get to that point. That's
Exactly.
why we want them to come here to engage with us all the
Before it
way
gets to
through,
that point. Before.
all the way through to avoid
Yes.
that. Our goal is to have less counseling for foreclosure than ever before. So if we have last year 40 counseling sessions for foreclosure, our goal this year is to have maybe 35 and
Yes.
reduce, because the more that we have, then something is happening in the community, and we have to understand what is the root cause for spikes in foreclosure or other situations that they might not have anticipated.
Absolutely. Now, Maria, we're almost out of time, but I just wanted to ask you is, you were talking about they can find you on the social media, but
Mhm.
is if there's a link that we have, I received a link from you. So I wanted to make sure that that was okay to share here on the comments, because I want people to be able to see this video, and if they're interested in learning more and getting in touch with you, what is the best way? They can go to the website, they can reach out to you. What is some information? How can they reach you?
Yes, and that's a great question. Is our page is www.nedahome.org, or Facebook. In Facebook accounts, you can find us at Neighborhood Development Alliance. People know for short, NeDA is the nickname that we call, but they can call us also at 651 292. Give me 1 second, because
Okay,
I
no
have a
problem.
bad memory sometimes with the numbers. So it's 651-292-0131. That is our front desk office number. I should have it
Hey,
here in front
it's
of
because
me.
you don't call yourself. People call you.
Exactly.
People call you.
Yeah.
So, this was a wonderful conversation. I really love that. I hope we can extend another speaker series with you to go more an example on some other stuff. I think this was really good just to get to know who you were and what NeDA is, because like you mentioned, it's been around for 40 years, and no one, me, like myself, getting to know you and knowing you through our community efforts is how I knew about NeDA, and not everybody knows about it, right? So I
Yeah.
really want to be able to share this information and definitely partner with you guys as well to see how I can help my small non-traditional business owners when they're looking for a home, to send them your way as well, because this is something that I was not aware of, right? I think it's a really, really important to find the right people. And especially with what I went through, I wish I had your services, right? I mean, yeah, just because some people make money doesn't mean that they still have,
Mhm.
challenges and things like that. So we're so grateful to
Absolutely.
have you. Thank you so much for being here. Now, if you got a story and you have a lesson to share, we're inviting purpose-driven professionals, entrepreneurs, and educators and thought leaders to join us on Valentin Consulting's guest speaker series. If you want to amplify your voice and inspire others, just like, subscribe, and hit that notification button, because we want you to continue to do that. But share your story could be one of the most amazing areas that you can provide for us. So let us know if you're interested in being a guest speaker. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Second.